What up? Is it a full moon tonight?
It is indeed.
Mm,
Go out and look.
let me take a look.
Yeah, well, the moon will be much higher later in the evening. You'll be able to see it well.
So I have what's called a santur. Do you know what that is? It's an Iranian musical instrument.
No.
So
I
it's
mean,
a
I've heard the name, but I don't know what it looks like. Is it a stringed instrument or what?
yeah, it's got about 100 steel strings stretched across a triangle wooden board.
Okay, a lot of those must be resonators, I would assume.
Hmm. It's a percussion instrument.
Uh,
You want to hear it through Clown House because I have the phone underneath the wires right now.
yeah, let me hear it.
Okay, here we go. The name of this song is called Heronstone, the Moon.
It's like a dulcimer, isn't it? You're
What's it?
hitting it with hammers.
Yeah, these are like little
Yeah,
wooden things with white tips.
yeah. It's like a dulcimer. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a very, you can put yourself into a deep state of trance with it.
Well, there's lots of ways to put yourself into a deep state of trance. That's
Well,
one of them.
what I like about it is it's like breaking the trance of clown house hypnosis for me. So I don't really, I'd rather play music than go into these rooms and listen to these people talking about nothing.
Well, why would you go into those rooms and listen to all those fucking brain damaged language monkeys? That's a waste of your time.
Exactly. But it's only
Well,
through,
so don't do it.
I know, but through the music, I'm able to essentially get, I have no desire to listen to them because I would rather
No, there's
play
no
music.
point in listening to them. No, there's no point in it. You shouldn't waste your time there. You should be in this room or start your own damn room.
Yeah, yeah. I start my own rooms a lot. But I know a lot of people on this app, and unfortunately, I have the tendency to go into their rooms and engage with them, and so
Ah,
setting up these musical instruments as a diversion tactic for my own dopamine addiction of this stupid app and what stupid people have to say.
yeah. How old are you? I'm curious.
40, 42.
Okay, well, it's about time you wake up, my friend. You don't quit wasting your time with a bunch of brain damaged language monkeys listening to their whining about whatever shit they're whining about. It's toxic. It's damaging your own nervous system.
I know. I know. I use it as background in between studies. Like I'm reading a lot. So as I like
Well, so use
reset,
music as a background.
yeah, that's true.
Listen to music.
But sometimes I think it's interesting to hear people because in a way it's like hyper dynamic variable and technically this app is an entertainment app and I think it's it's essentially comedy.
Well, no, it's whatever you make it. That's not what it is for me. I've made some friendships here, and I start my own rooms, and I talk to some interesting people. Not many, but some enough to make it worth my while to come here and open up a room and have some interesting conversations a couple times a week. Although I'm here, but probably 10 hours a day, almost every day. But mostly I'm here doing other stuff. And there's nobody here but me. But I noticed you wandered in here, so.
Yeah, I like your title about the moon because I think the lunar stuff is interesting, and it's important to I think it's
Stay in touch with the physical universe, to have a calendar that's in sync with the sun and the moon and Earth instead of Pope Gregory's idea of what a year is.
hmm. Yeah, I've read that. I think I read that the moon is like the mother, the sun is the father, and the earth is the child.
Well,
So there's a gender to the moon. It's definitely feminine.
well, some people say that. I don't think. I think that's well. If you like to think that way, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, I mean
I think those entities are beyond what we think of as
gender. Yeah,
sexuality. That's not in their game. Well, who knows? But that's a different order of reality.
yeah. I mean the esoteric, philosophy is gender is an important
Yeah.
construct.
Well, yeah. I don't have much use for most ancient philosophies and all of their nonsense from the last couple thousand years. Uh, yeah.
I don't know. In terms of the communication game, I think if you know who Manly P. Hall is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean all that Freemason and esoteric stuff, and they even go into the Atlanteans and all this stuff. Oh, you know what? The funniest thing I heard somebody say on this app recently is we were talking about Sigmund Freud, and I said that he was a prolific cocaine user and he was one of the number one publishers of all time. And this Egyptian guy on this app, he says that motherfucker, he was a spammer. He was spamming people. It was so funny because it's true. I mean, there's Sigmund Freud put out so much stuff. If you could just do the compression or the extract, you're like, holy crap! I mean, this is a whole life of publishing, and a lot of it is spam.
Well, I'm not particularly fond of Freud, so I don't really know that much about him. Maybe I have. No, I don't think I've ever read any Freud. I've read some stuff about him, but yeah, that was a long time ago. He was ahead of his time, a century ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a cult technically, and psychiatry or psychology. That's why if you look at that stuff, they were trying to treat people with psychological malady, or I don't know. It's just they're not being
They didn't know anything. Shit, in 1900, their knowledge of the universe and the human nervous system and everything was so limited. They were just beginning to wake up around that time. So I don't hold it against them. They were doing the best they could, but they just didn't know fuck. They didn't know what the hell they were talking about most of the time.
yeah. But that's why I say probably a lot of it is just spam. They're because the cool thing about Clown House or the internet is you get this direct feedback and immediate experimentation results. But prior to the advent of this massive communication network, they were winging it and putting together formulas or theories in the 20s or 1900, on how um, I guess the science of human behavior or brain science. Brain science is still so far behind.
Oh
So
yeah, it's beginning to get interesting now. I mean, things are really beginning to look interesting with AI assisting us to make sense out of all this stuff. This is an exciting time.
there's this Twitter handle, X handle called
Uh,
Doge AI, and it automatically responds all over X to congressmen, to senators, and what they're posting, and it calls them out and does like a real time inversion of what they're saying and calls them out. It's amazing. I'm pretty sure Elon Musk set it up, but it's doing a lot of very critical, commentary, which is totally needed. But it's fully automated and at scale, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah. These are interesting times.
Yeah, everybody thought India and Pakistan was going to start a nuclear war.
They may still do it. Who knows?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. So much bluster, hot air, and but anyways, yeah. I mean, it's a new moon, so I'm happy to
No,
be
it's a
here.
full moon.
It's a full moon, but I mean, isn't it in a way kind of saying it's gonna be a new moon, or it's
Well, 2 more
new?
weeks, it'll be another new moon. Yeah.
I mean, if it's a full moon, then that means it's the newest full moon. But
Well, it's the current full moon. Yes. Yeah.
do
It
you
started.
do you
Yeah.
think
Go ahead.
do you think they landed on the moon and drove a car around it and played golf and then flew back to the Pacific?
Oh, I have no reason to doubt it.
Really? I mean, only reason I think it's possible is because if I just look at it with a binoculars, it's right there, and you can even see the craters. So you're like, okay, it can't be that far. It seems
Well, it's
reasonable.
250,000 miles. It's a ways off.
Yeah, I mean, 250,000 miles still seems doable in a hypersonic rocket jet. I mean, you know.
Well, it is doable. We've been there. So, I mean, that's doubt. I don't think there's any doubt that we've landed there. Whether there were people on it, there certainly have been landers there.
Yeah,
And I assume that there have been people there too.
I have my doubts about people actually going there.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, how are we the only country that's ever done it? You know, at the same time, the Soviet Union couldn't even attempt it. I mean, they're at scale with us. They never even attempted it. So I just view it as
Yeah,
like a propaganda event.
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, look how big movies are. And the whole Stanley Kubrick thing is that he was involved in producing the
Yeah, I know.
films.
I've heard all those stories. Yeah, yeah.
I did see somebody make an independent film. I don't know where it was. It was I don't want to say it's Area 57, but wherever they filmed it, it's the exact same. It looks exactly the same. Like the sand structures wherever they were in some desert, it's like identical. So, anyways, it's irrelevant, but you know, I'm
No, I
just
don't
saying.
think it's irrelevant. I think, well, yeah, people have got all sorts. People are flat earthers. People have all sorts of theories about all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
And I've got my theories. So,
Yeah.
I don't know whether anything. Yeah, I don't believe any of my own theories. Even I've got a bunch of ideas, but I certainly don't think I actually know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. I mean, Alan Alan Watts, and his evaluation, I think is very accurate, and
Well, what particular evaluation of Watts are you talking about?
that essentially we are all God in disguise, and if you wake up, you'll stop
Oh
being.
yeah.
You know.
Okay, yeah, it's basic Hinduism is what it is. That's pretty much my perspective. Yeah, this is all Bob's dream.
Hmm. Well, I don't know. I mean, are we fleas on the earth and trees are the pubic hairs of the earth? Are we just
Earth is a living organism, as I see it, and we are something like astrocytes in our own
Right,
brain.
right.
We are building Earth's brain. We're part of its nervous system.
Hmm. Yeah. But yeah, well then that's the whole critique about Elon Musk and all. I can't stand hearing people talk about bringing consciousness to other planets. It's so stupid. People are so stupid. They waste
Well,
everything. There's no
people
frugality.
are Yeah, yeah. Well, people are a bunch of brain damaged language monkeys. So I'm expecting a kind of outbreak of enlightenment in the next 10 or 20 years. I don't see any other hope for this planet. The problems on this planet are not ecology or any of that shit. The problem is humans are a bunch of brain damaged language monkeys who are incapable of any kind of rational thought, and that doesn't work anymore. It worked for the last 250 or 300,000 years, but not in this world. we need to wake up.
Mhm. Do you know that guy Maharishi who traveled around with the Beatles?
Yeah.
I bought some of his books and I've watched some of his videos, early in life and later in life. And he's saying basically we need 20% of people to become meditators. And then,
Something like that.
so
Yeah,
it's
I
like the
don't know what.
Pareto
Yeah, we need a
principle, yeah.
critical mass, whatever that is.
Right.
Like I say, I'm optimistic. I think it's coming, but we'll see.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I do find music to be a very useful tool for meditating now. And one time I was downtown Chicago relaxing at this beautiful park, and there's this guy there playing the guitar, and he had all his CDs there, and I gave him $5 or $10. He gave me one of his CDs, and I said, "So what do you do now? For your career or profession?" He's like, "I'm a full time meditator. I just meditate all day, every day. That's all I do now." And I listened to his CDs, and it was pretty good. He was a pretty good musician. But I see how musicians use it, even in a subversive political way, to manipulate or to cause peace. I mean, the Beatles are like the perfect example of music, politics, world events and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then there was Bob Dylan too.
yeah, I mean, just countless. Like every musician essentially thinks that they're pulling the strings, and
Wow.
they are basically.
I'm a little leery of the word every, but a lot for sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because they're creating a network and an audience, and the messaging they put out, like the Dixie Chicks. Remember, I think they were
I
anti
don't really
George
pay
Bush.
much attention to popular music anymore, so I mean I've heard of them, but I don't listen to popular music anymore.
Yeah, I'm just saying musicians get involved in politics.
Oh yeah.
But I've been doing a lot of yoga, and not having pain in your body is like step one. And I
That
can't I
helps.
can't believe people don't even get to step one. It's like, have you heard about this thing called breathing and stretching? And you don't have to even stand to do it. You can literally just use the gravity of the earth to give you the chiropractic adjustments that you need. And I'm just like, how do people not do this every day? It's just
Yeah, I've
so.
been doing yoga for more than 45 years now, maybe 50 years. I've been doing yoga most of my life. A good part of it anyway. Yeah, that's fundamental for me.
Yeah. They don't even teach in the army. They don't even teach it to you because they're more into calisthenics and trying to get people's metabolism and weight loss and more strength. But yoga is just the absolute base. And
Yeah, to keep you flexible, you have to be able to move. That helps.
yeah, yeah. The hamstrings I found are like the most important part. If you don't pull those hamstrings, your lower back tension is way up. So it's definitely connected. So do you find yourself letting go of things, like daily or weekly or monthly? Like how do
No,
you?
I've let go of everything. Yeah, I've had, well, it's a long story, but about 10 years ago or so, I finally accepted the fact that I really don't know what the fuck is going on here. And I've got some stories that I like, but truly, I don't know. And that pissed me off most of my life. But 10 or 15 years ago, I just grew to enjoy the fact that I really don't know. And that I live in a mystery, and it's really invigorating to be living in a mystery. And like I say, I've got some stories that I like, but I don't believe any of them.
I was reading Rumi today. Have you ever read Rumi, the Persian poet, the Sufi mystic?
Yeah, somewhere. I mean, I've read some of his stuff. Not a lot of it, but I mean, I know who he is, and I've read some of his stuff. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it's basically what Alan Watts says is, know thyself. Um, know the universe, basically.
Yeah. Well, my sense is I don't know myself, and I don't know the universe, and that's okay.
Well, I mean, see, even if, what did you say we are like in our human brains in terms of the parasites on the earth?
Oh, we're like astrocytes
Uh,
in the brain, in our own brain. I mean, that's just an analogy. I mean, it's just.
but the okay, so I guess it all comes down to metaphysics. Is I mean, what's your analysis of the metaphysics situation in terms of
Well,
like our
I
personal lives?
see metaphysics as a form of linguistic pathology. I prefer epistemology to metaphysics. Metaphysics is a sickness.
No, I just mean in the sense of energy and matter, meaning that we are energy. Um,
Well, like I say, I don't know what we are. You can make up any fucking story you want. We're matter, we're energy, we're spirit, I don't know. Everybody's got a story.
no, I
They
mean
define all
we're
those
definitely
terms.
more matter than we are spirit. I mean, spirit would be the
I don't even know what either of those words mean.
matter, meaning we're substance, we're something.
That
But
that's hardly helpful.
but
Or
I mean,
something.
I guess is it
But you still believe in objective reality. You actually think there's a world out there that's independent of us and our observations and all that, right? You accept that?
No, I mean, I guess you would say that the all or the one is your that's how you are God, meaning that's your that extension of the all or the totality of infinity is you are a part of that. So I'm saying, there is no like Alan Watts says there is no differentiation or there is no diversity. It's one giant simulation going in all directions, inside, outside, forever and ever.
Yeah, and that's a story in the
Right.
domain of language, and it's not a bad story. I use it, but I certainly don't believe that that is the truth. That's just a story. Again, it's not a bad story.
But doesn't it
It's still,
logically make sense?
who cares whether it's logical or not? That doesn't have anything to do with anything. My experience sure as hell isn't logical. My stories are logical,
But how's
but
your experience not logical? Because part of enlightenment is knowing that everything that's ever happened to
are
you.
you enlightened?
I'm just asking a question, meaning that.
Okay, but you're throwing out, you're saying enlightenment is this or enlightenment is that. I don't know what the fuck enlightenment is. I've heard a lot of people talk about it.
Well, I'm giving you my comprehension. I mean, that's it.
Oh, okay. So, okay, that's not what enlightenment is. That's your idea of what that word refers to.
Sure, sure.
Okay, all right. Well, that's very different than telling me what enlightenment is.
Well, what was I even trying to say? Was that
I don't know.
well, I don't know. Silence, breathing, being in the now. You're lucky if you have peace because
Yeah.
it's just, you can get stuck in the rat race and never escape.
When people get caught up in their stories, they're totally entranced by the voice in their head and all their stories about this and that and everything else that's going on, and they're totally locked into their stories.
Hmm. Yeah. What I really find annoying is people who do project their stories, which is essentially propaganda. If you were to meet them in the flesh, they still wouldn't drop their bullshit propaganda. They would just they would continue to project it as if.
Well, because they're entranced by the voice in their head. They're not even thinking. It's just, we are all large language models. That's what's going on. You got a neural net crinkled up inside your skull,
Mhm.
and you were trained, well, you're still being trained, but you were trained for the first 5 or 6 years by your parents in the television set. We are large language models, period.
So if you, I know you're an educator, so how would you, if you had, $100 million or an infinite amount of money and you had 10 students and you had 10 days or even 10 hours to run them through your curriculum, like
Yeah.
how do you
Well,
think
I'm
you would do it?
developing that curriculum right now. I plan to launch a course sometime this year.
Mhm.
And the primary intention of the course is to break the identification with the voice in the head. Most people are under the spell of the voice in their head. They think the voice in their head is something I is doing, and they believe everything they hear it say. But in fact, the voice in your head is just being created by your neural net and its training. And I is the observer of that process, not the instigator of that process. So my course is, I expect I'll launch it sometime this year. I
How
hope.
how is the observer and the instigator differentiated though?
Well, the voice in your head is not something you are doing. It's something happening to you. You don't have time to sit there and choose what words you're going to use. What I'm saying right now, it just comes out. I'm not picking words or thinking about what I'm going to say. This just happens. And it happens because my neural net has been trained to do it. And I've reprogrammed my own language machine significantly so it doesn't operate like most people's does, but it's still just a neural net running its scripts.
Right. Well, that's like when Ellen Watts says, the meaning of life is not an explanation; it's an experience. But I mean, then you can just hit a bell, meaning that when you shut up and you go silent and you meditate, you realize 99.9% of everything we think and say is totally irrelevant to
Yeah,
what
right.
yeah to what's going to
That's
happen.
why meditation. Yeah, meditation is a crucial part of the course I'm going to teach. I'm not going to call it meditation. I'll come up with some other name for it. But sitting quietly and observing the voice in your head is a fundamental aspect of the process that I'm going to be using.
Right. So it's basically therapeutic in nature, or I guess therapeutic goal or objective. I mean, when I play music in the morning for 50 minutes, I can have so many thoughts throughout those 50 minutes of so many memories, that are embedded in my brain. A lot of women, a lot of, career experiences, etc. And you sit there and, you just, the thoughts arise and they just pass. There's no real emotional, there's a lot of emotions happening while I'm having the thoughts, but I feel like, you know, I don't know how people don't experience that in terms of like processing or, meaning that you're in the now, but even in the now, your mind in the background is still running a script of all your experiences automatically. But I feel like the brain does it in order to kind of process it to bring you back into the now. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's like an observation.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have answers for all these things. Like I say, my language machine works pretty well nowadays. It doesn't cause me any trouble anyway. And yeah, and it's mostly because I'm not identified with it. I listen to it. Sometimes it's a wonderful tool to have. It's very useful, and other times it's just toxic as hell. But I usually catch it within a couple of seconds if it's doing something really stupid, and so that makes my life much simpler.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you think there'll ever be a time when a human being is born with some type of super extraordinary power of maybe like kinetic telepathy, like some type of
Well, there are
mutation or
people who
something?
are born now who have amazing, idiot savants, so-called idiot savants, who have amazing abilities. And yeah, I don't know what's possible. I suspect it's way beyond anything I could conceive of.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be like a new species. I'm just thinking about that movie Dune where Paul Atreides, the Mahdi. I don't know. The whole thing deals with liberation. So the liberation theologists, that's the song that never ends. And I don't know. In the book, the New Testament, John is Jah, which is the nature to liberate. So it's kind of interesting how the song that never ends, or what brain damaged language monkeys are doing, is just constantly playing the same Liberation record, different tunes, but
Well, we've been running the same operating system for the last couple 100,000 years, and it worked. It got us here, but it ain't going to get us any further. It's like we're all operating on MS-DOS instead of some modern operating system. And that's relatively easy to change. I expect to see that happen in the next 20 years.
have you ever seen the movie THX 1138? It was George.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. George Lucas's first big film, yeah.
So it was an underground society that had everybody was on a daily medication routine to make basically.
I know the movie. I know the movie well.
But what they're trying to achieve was they're trying to make people into essentially automatons or mannequins in a way by using the medication to eliminate feelings. And so, well, then what would be the solution now then? Because that seems to be what we're doing, but it doesn't really seem to be working.
Well, my sense is people are beginning. I think this time is right. I think it's inevitable. I think Earth is waking up. This is what's happening on this planet is not anything we are doing. Earth is in the midst of some sort of transformation of itself, and we're involved in this as embedded subsystems. And so I'm assuming that it's happening because it's time for it to happen. Just like caterpillar is going along being a nice little caterpillar, and all of a sudden it builds a cocoon and turns itself into a butterfly. I think that's what's happening on Earth right now.
Well, Earth is a word or a name. I saw on this Copernicus map. They didn't call it Earth; they call it Terra, La Tierra, or like soil.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look at the word Earth and you see the word ear, today I was thinking about how technically listening and seeing it's the same thing because it's all going to one place, which is your central cortex or your brain. So what you're listening to is really what you're looking at.
No, I don't know.
Because it's going in the same place. So
It's not going in the same place. The brain has got a lot of different places in there that things go to. Your occipital lobes are way in the back. Temporal lobes, where all the audio is stored, is in a different part of the brain. They're all connected to each other. It's very complex.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still going to you, basically, your whole body.
Well, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah.
Well, so what I'm saying is, Clown House, when you go into these different rooms, you're listening. But whether you're looking or whether you're listening, I mean, that's the whole thing about TV is you're looking and listening at the same time. So, when you're meditating or you're listening to music or an audiobook, you're using your ears and your brain is coming up with all types of imaging and thoughts about all types of things, maybe not even associated to what you're listening to. But anyways, I was just thinking today, it's kind of about listening, and I'm always thinking about what I'm listening. Anyways, I'm always telling people to say, think about what you're listening to, because I'll go into these rooms and like that movie Network, and I'll say, turn off your television, scream out your window, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore. Meaning that this app is like a mind virus of all these these broken language monkey generators who are just self-hypnotizing and then getting hypnotized by other people's communication. So
and a small number of them are beginning to notice all of this.
It should seem, but see, that's the thing is, even if you notice it, people still want to indulge in it.
Not everybody. Some people notice it and begin to decide that they don't want anything to do with this shit anymore and try to find some other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you have a good.
Most people don't do that, but some people, and a growing number of people, are, I think, reaching that conclusion.
See, well, you're the primary node. You don't. I mean, occasionally you might go into other rooms, but for the most part, you seem to open these rooms to be in a meditative state.
No, I open the rooms to have conversations with people. I'm here. I'm an artist. I do a bunch of things, but I've been involved in this big art project for the past 8 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here and I'm retired, so I work at home. So I just open up a room every day and leave it open all day long from like noon until
Mm-hmm.
I go to sleep at midnight or whatever.
Mm.
And most of the time, there's nobody here. I'm just busy working on shit. But occasionally, somebody comes in and we have a conversation, and that's fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I assumed, but I thought maybe like you're not meditating. I mean, no way you're sitting there
Well, I
meditating.
don't. I've been a meditator for more than 50 years, and I don't really meditate. I mean, I very seldom actually sit, in a lotus and do an actual mantra meditation. I may do that once or twice a year now. But I'm a hermit. I live alone with my dogs. My life is very quiet. My language machine is pretty much under control. And so meditation was a fundamental part of my development. But it's not anything well, it's just so much a part of me that I don't have a need to sit and meditate anymore.
Yeah, I don't do the mantras all the time, but I'm doing the music, and then when I do yoga, that to me is the meditation too, because I'm
Yeah.
all the breathing. I do a lot of like a lot of breathing during the yoga, and
No, no, you do a lot of breathing all day long.
but like forced, I'll do
No, I
hyperventilation
know,
or
I
yeah.
understand. Yeah, listen, I've been doing yoga also for like 40 years, so I know what you're
Do you
talking
do
about.
do you do Kegel like kind of Kegeling when you do your yoga? Because I've heard
Do
that the
what?
Kegeling meaning like
I don't know. Yeah.
you you flex your your genitals because I've heard that like if you flex your
Uh,
genitals it's it's even connected to your brain so it's like
yeah.
acting as
No,
like
I
a
don't. No, I'm just. For me, yoga is just about keeping my body flexible
Mhm.
and bendable and workable. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's flexibility and strength. See the spirit aspect could be like the prana or the breathing, but it's just like life force. Alan Watts uses the word force a lot. I think he was talking about Wu Wei or the art of non-action, but how to cultivate force, whether that's will or some other type. I mean, there's a lot of different varieties of force, but the term force
You
is
brought
used in
up
physics
Alan
a lot.
Watts several times. Are you aware of my relationship with Alan Watts? Or are you bringing it up because of that, or is it because he's been an important influence on your life?
Yeah, I mean, I know you said he woke you up, but I've been listening to
Okay,
him.
all right, yeah,
Yeah,
because I didn't know whether you knew about that or not. Okay.
yeah. What was the moment when Watts woke you up?
Well, it's a kind of a long story, but I ended up, one of his books dropped into my life out of nowhere, and I was not a reader. Anyway, it's a weird set of circumstances that put Alan Watts into my life. And anyway, one of his books came into my life, and for some silly reason, I tried reading it,
Was it
and
the
I
book?
never recovered
It
from
was it
that
was the
book.
book.
No, no, that's my favorite one. No, the book that did it to me was called The Supreme Identity.
Mm.
It was a book he wrote in 1950. I've been rereading it just in the past week or so, and it's just boring. I don't know how the hell that book did what it did for me. I couldn't even get through it. This is like the third time I've tried rereading it, I was trying to find the place. I was sitting there on my bed reading that book, and all of a sudden I put the book down. Something I had just read totally destroyed my whole life. I just had this blinding realization in a matter of 2 seconds that I didn't have a clue who the fuck I was, what I'm doing here, what the world is, what I can do, what I can't do. I just had this blinding realization that everything I knew was just some story I'd been sold. And I never recovered from that. That was when I was 21, and that totally changed my life. Up until that moment, I was interested in girls and television and marijuana and cars, and that was it. And then Alan Watts fell into my life, and I never recovered.
Yeah, I think the first Watts book I bought was Wisdom of Insecurity, or the
Yeah,
yeah,
My
the
favorites
security
in
of
this are
insecurity
the
vision.
book and Psychotherapy East and West.
Hmm.
Those are the ones I recommend to people.
I was reading Confucius, the writings of Confucius, the other day, and it's so Taoistic and so powerful that I was just like blown away by, what Confucius is or what the Confucian writings are, because it's so like prescient to today's political problems, and because it's really all about morals, ethics, and virtues. But there's such wisdom there in terms of like personal politic or personal behavior. Um, it's just so smart, and that type of information is just so lacking because young people would just s- eat that stuff up like a sponge and just love it because they're fed such garbage that if you can reintroduce a lot of these sacred ancient writings, it's so useful for children really who are gonna be put
Well,
into the meat grinder.
yeah, well, the change is coming. Like I say, I'm optimistic. I think the whole world is going to be transformed in the next 20 years.
You say the Earth is gonna wake up, but I mean now is all there is. There's only this eternal now, so the Earth is already awoken. And I was reading in philosophy. They're always saying how tomorrow is the biggest scam. There's no tomorrow, and so
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just this Groundhog
yeah,
Day.
yeah, but yeah, but you can go. Those stories are all very useful in some domains and useless in others. There is a thing called embryology. Things change. They aren't the same today as they're going to be tomorrow or as they were yesterday. You start with a fertilized ovum, and it goes through a whole series of processes of transformations to become a frog or an elephant or a human or a tree or whatever. Process is there too. It's not all the same all the time.
Hmm. An acronym that I found useful was on a treadmill. I noticed it's pedal, program, enter, time, and level. So those four variables seem to be essentially what everybody's kind of doing. People are choosing their program. They're deciding to hit enter to begin. They choose the amount of time that they
Now, see,
want
I
to.
don't think people are choosing anything. I think people are basically robots until they wake up. They're just large language models running their training scripts, period.
Well, I
And they
think
have
that
moments when they wake up, but that they don't last long. They're
well
usually
the information that they're ingesting is the program. So there's whatever they're looking at on their cell phone. 40 hours a week, 100 hours a
well,
week,
but I'm
whatever it is.
talking about how they got set up in the first 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The scripts that are installed at that point,
Well,
up until puberty. All the scripts that are added in childhood, those are the
mhm.
ones that.
Well, then that conditioning is the program. Then I mean, like my conditioning has been in the military and all those things, and then corporate. But I don't know. Some people's programming is just getting across the border and then getting a job at some
Yeah,
taco
yeah,
restaurant.
most people don't give a shit about any of this abstract philosophical shit we're talking about. They just want to get a new TV,
Hmm. Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Want
and
to
a
pay
little
their
more money and a
yeah.
wife with bigger tits.
Hmm.
That'll do.
Yeah. Brutal. I don't know. It's amazing. I mean, if you could be so stupid that you're like happy, but I mean, is it really? Are you even there? Are you like really
Well,
alive?
yes, they are. That's the game. That's the game Bob is playing. Like I say, I think that game has about run its course. It's been going for a couple 100,000 years, and it's getting boring now. We need new stories.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what Elon Musk is doing. He puts out memes on this X account called Adrian Dittman, and he says he's a reality bender. Um, and in so many ways, that's it. Nobody knows the future, meaning like you never know when disaster's gonna strike. You
No,
know.
we don't know. The sun could blow up in the next 5 minutes, and we wouldn't even know about it for another 8. So,
Right. Well, what I guess what I'm saying is that people are so intimately and extraordinarily involved in communication now because of these cell phones and these platforms that it's so that the propaganda is no longer being identified as propaganda or programming or mind control or conditioning. It's just given that people are going to project, and a lot of it is just business communication. um, but it gives people credibility where there really shouldn't be much credibility with regards to what they're projecting, especially with regards to war. I mean, whatever they're doing in Ukraine and Russia and how they're just creating perpetual war. And it's fucking horrible. I mean, that Zelensky and what he's doing to the people in Ukraine and why they can't why they can't negotiate a peace settlement and they just have to continually keep this game going with Russia.
what? Zelensky is keeping it going, not Russia.
No, I'm saying, well, it's for both of them, really. I mean, they're both
Well,
doing
who
it.
invaded who?
Yeah, Russia invaded Ukraine, but what I'm saying is, when you see Zelensky with Macron and Starmer from UK,
Yeah, yeah.
you just realize that it's a chessboard, and all these other people are sticking their beaks into this situation, and they're inflaming it. They're gaslighting it and expanding it and keeping it perpetually going. And Russia is in the same menage a trois with China and other
I just
countries. I
don't
mean,
listen. I just don't concern myself at that level. There's nothing I can do about that. Um,
well, I
I
was
don't know. I don't know really what's going on and what motivates Putin or Zelensky or Trump or anybody else for that matter. Um, I'm
well,
just focusing on my own work. That's
no,
all
I
I
know,
can
I
do.
know. I mean, the thing is, I really thoroughly believe that if you improve yourself, you improve the world, and
Oh,
so
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Every person who's more awake than they were yesterday, that moves us closer to a better world.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. You just see these people in high government in the media, and you're just once you become a real person, you're just like, damn, there's a lot of fucking horrible pieces of shit in this world that they're really chaos agents, and they're joking and hugging, and it's like, when do these people go away? Where are the real people? Where are the real leaders? Of basically ethical, virtue, moral people in high government that are able to
We don't. We
communicate.
have to get beyond the whole fucking idea of leaders. I don't need a fucking leader. I need to be awake and conscious and responsible for my actions, and so does the majority of humans. Humans have to wake the fuck up, because that's the only thing that's going to save us. It's time for humans to wake the fuck up and become responsible, thinking, conscious entities instead of a bunch of brain damaged language monkeys. At least that's my story.
Well, I mean, if you look at just policing and how long that's been going on in human history,
Well,
um,
yeah,
I mean the
yeah.
predation of
Listen,
policing, but also
yeah.
the criminals themselves who are predating. It's like, damn. I mean,
This our whole entire civilization. We are at the end of a civilization and the beginning of the first global, high-tech, enlightened civilization on this planet. Nothing like this has ever existed before. It's a new era of Earth that is emerging here. The old order is bullshit. It's going to disintegrate just like the caterpillar disintegrates and is gone, and the butterfly will be there. That's the way I see what's happening right now. And maybe I'm crazy. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I like that story and I'm sticking with it.
you know that movie Network, the
Yeah,
that
yeah,
when he gives that speech in the
yeah.
boardroom and he says um, all desires satiated, whatever that quote is, but I mean, I'm not. Yeah. Basically, I mean, see, utopian type of thinking about peace. I mean, and then there's still death, you know, and then you may never. Not that you're never gonna come back, but it's just like irrelevant. I mean, it's I don't know, just figuring out how to really not be angry all the time.
Yeah, just to be at peace with yourself. But again, our very definition of self is fucked up. And that's a whole other issue. Is what people think an I actually is. Again, we are just deeply entranced in ancient, stupid ideas that go back a couple 100,000 years that worked back then. I mean, they were great. You know, they, our ancestors 300, 400, 500,000 years ago were clever people. They had language, they talked, they planned hunting expeditions, they did all sorts of shit. You know, and they had a language that worked in that environment, but we're still stuck with that language now, and that's not the world we live in anymore. So it's time to upgrade. That's it, and it's relatively easy to do. But people, it's hard to even grasp the concept for most people. You know that they have an operating system that's 300,000 years out of date.
Well, I had a Chipotle chicken bowl for lunch today, and it was only about $12, and that totally satiated me, and so it's kind of crazy that people will go, through so much works, even long journeys. Like imagine being on a ship in the year 1850, going across the ocean just to have enough to
Yeah.
eat a meal. So it's like until we, the humans of this planet, can be satisfied with one good meal a day, and then everything else is kind of bullshit
Well,
because
again, we need to wake up. Yeah, I mean that's part of it. That's not all. For me, the main thing is breaking the identification with the voice in the head. That's it. I mean, that's the only thing I'm concerned with. There are a lot of other things that need to happen too, but for me, it's about breaking the identification with the voice in the head and beginning to listen to it and program it rather than just obey it.
well, the conditioning from early onset up into the age 13 years. I mean, I wasn't born with meditative parents. I was born with parents that were fighting each other, all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's too bad.
yeah, I just think it would be interesting to be born into a family where your parents are
Yeah,
actually meditating.
imagine being raised in a sane world.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
said, yeah,
I say I'm really optimistic. I think we're waking up. I think that's what's happening,
yeah,
and I'm looking forward to the next 20 years.
yeah.
The only issue is how bad is it going to have to get before a sufficient number of people wake up. Right now, things aren't bad enough to force people to reevaluate. You know, they're sticking to their old stories because they still think that they can save it. But there's going to come a time when they realize, no, it's over. The old order is on its way out, and I'm going to either have to come up with some better stories or double down on the old stories. And I think we're approaching that time.
So, Alan Watts says that real wealth is goods and services. It's not the
Wow.
dollars.
Oh,
But
no, no, pieces of paper. No, that's absurd. Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
goods and services, which is housing, clothing, food,
Well, it's
transportation,
stuff.
etc.
Yeah, it's the
Stuff.
stuff we need to live and the assistance that we can use
Right.
of other people for certain kinds of things. Yeah.
But the problem is when you listen to the central bankers like Chairman Powell, he
But
says,
so don't listen to them. Fuck them.
well, what I'm saying is there seems to be a second set of rules which people aren't aware of until they become entangled and embroiled in those rules.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, I know. I just don't care. I just don't care. I don't want to hear about this shit. That's all. You're talking about the way the caterpillar functions. Fuck the caterpillar. It's over for the caterpillar. It's on its way out. I imagine the United States will be gone in 10 years, maybe less. Uh,
Well,
the rate of change is accelerating radically,
well,
and
what if the people making that projection are unaware of the unity between the left hand and the right hand, meaning that they're so unaware and so stupid that they don't even know
Well, who
what they're saying
cares?
because
So what? Okay.
they think that they're separate and that they're independent,
Yeah,
but
I
there's
got it.
no
But why are you
separation.
telling me this? Who cares? Why are we talking about them? They're irrelevant. I mean,
Because then it becomes political, basically. So it's just to
what?
me, I found it amazing the other day when I realized I was like, okay, all this Federal Reserve debt and how the United States is
Yeah,
bankrupt,
that
it's all
whole
just
system,
political.
capitalism, that whole system is on its way out. It'll be gone, I don't know, whatever, 10, 20 years or less. Yeah,
But
it was a
what?
good idea for a couple centuries. It worked okay. And it
Why do
doesn't
you
work.
think the United States will dissolve though, or no longer be a functioning nation state?
Oh, I think it's the end of the nation states. I think nation states were a phase of Earth's development. Headed into the first global civilization. There's never been anything like it on this planet, but that's where we are. A global civilization. We are all Earthlings. Most of my friends now, people I talk to, are from all over this planet. Most of them speak English as a second, well, not most of them, but a lot of them speak English as a second language. We are Earthlings. Fuck America, fuck Russia and China and the rest of those stupid ideas. We are Earthlings. I am an Earthling anyway, and I think that's what's happening. Earth is waking up.
Well, yeah, that means the people. I mean, the people are waking up essentially.
Well, yeah, it's just the beginning. It's the early part, but I'm assuming it's going to be an exponential explosion, and we haven't, we're early in that process. Although things are really starting to pick up, so I mean, we may be getting real close. I mean, I've been talking about this for like 40, 50 years,
Mhm.
but it was always so far in the future that I never really had to think about it, And it's only been in the last like 5 years, really, five or maybe a little more than that, that I actually got that, no, this ain't in the future. This is fucking happening now. This is it. This is the shit I've been talking about for 50 years. It's fucking happening now.
There's in this Alan Watts Q&A session when he gets asked, so your only superpower of being God is knowing who you are. He goes, well, that's saying quite a bit. And so that's like saying you know where you came from, meaning that if you know where you came from, there are no more problems. There's no more debate. Um, so it's just it's kind of funny to know that so many people all day long are constantly engaged in conflict because
Yeah, listen,
yeah.
I know it. Listen, I don't find it funny anymore. I just find it boring. I'm not even interested in talking about them. Fuck them. I mean, if there's a possibility they can wake up, I'm interested in talking with them. But just to sit here and talk about all the shortcomings of the brain damaged language monkeys isn't getting us anywhere. That's not going to move anything forward.
Well,
Talking about that
I
shit.
think if you wanted to, like, the Bodhisattva comes back to help the brain damaged language monkeys, and I think it only really takes 50 minutes at this point to essentially course correct people who have been so
Yeah,
hyper conditioned.
everybody's different. Everyone's, some people are right on the edge and a word will push them over. Other people are deeply entrenched in their old ideas and are never going to change. And everyone else is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
You just have to pay attention to who you're talking to and evaluate the situation and decide whether or not it's worth your time talking to them, whether you think there's actually some little dent you can put in there or something that'll be worth your time. My sense is fewer and fewer times do I find it worth my time to talk to most of these people because I don't think they're interested. I don't think they have any awareness of it, and I think they're committed to their old stories right now. Maybe they'll change in a couple of years, but right now it's a waste of time to talk to them. So I'm always looking for people who are open enough to be worth talking to.
But what if the people not worth talking to are an essential component of, you know,
Well, it'll work out. Whatever happens, like I say, I'm trusting that Earth is a healthy organism undergoing a sort of metamorphosis. I'm assuming it's healthy and that this will work out. This is the way it works.
yeah.
I mean, birth and metamorphosis are messy processes. but they work. And that's just, again, I have no proof of any of this. This is just the best story I can come up with. I'm assuming Earth is a healthy organism undergoing a kind of metamorphosis. It's the best analogy I can come up with. And if I'm going to assume that, then I'm going to operate on that as my set of values.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
No, I don't believe anything. Belief itself is the great sin. I operate on conscious assumptions. And I assume there's only one. I mean, again, this is just my story. I don't use the word God. I call it Bob. And Bob is dreaming, and it's Bob looking through your eyes, and Bob looking through my eyes, and my dog's eyes, and through Trump's eyes, and Zelensky's and Putin's eyes, and it's all Bob in playing his universe, whatever the fuck he's up to. But I have no idea about that.
Well, that's like saying Bob is essentially Windows software, you know? I mean, it's the primary operating system then of all conscious.
Well, that's one way to talk about. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think when I said it, I don't think there's any other way to say it. What I said is the words I use, and if you want to change the words, then you're going to say something different, which is fine. I don't care. But I chose the words I chose because I think those are the best way to formulate this idea.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, that doesn't mean that my idea is the one right idea. It's just the best idea I can come up with.
But doesn't that still mean, though, that Bob is internally conflicted with Bob?
I don't have any idea. I don't speak about Bob. That's ridiculous. How the fuck would I know anything about what Bob?
Well, I mean, meaning that, like, why can't Bob get his act together and essentially?
Well, who says Bob's act isn't together? Is there something wrong with a caterpillar?
Well, I guess the goal is always this deceptive, delusional, utopian ideal.
No, the goal. That's not always the goal. That's just a way of thinking about it right now. It's kind of a useful way of thinking about it right now. That's all that is. It's just a couple of sentences in English.
Well, I don't know. People are still complaining that the rent is too high, and I have to agree.
Well, people are complaining about everything. Fuck them. You know? Yeah, everything is one. We're living in a disintegrating civilization. It's about to pass away, and a new civilization is emerging. It's a messy fucking process. It's probably going to get a lot more painful before it starts to get better. But again, I'm assuming this is going to happen at an increasing rate. So my sense is we should be sort of spiritually and intellectually through this process within 20 years. There's still a lot of work to be done, a lot of cleanup that we're going to have to do. But I think we can get through it spiritually within 20 years, maybe. At least that's my bet right now.
Okay, the final two questions I have for you are, do you appreciate your childhood in America? Like, was it a good time as a kid in terms of prosperity?
I was weird. We were middle class. We had a house in the suburbs, but I was weird. I'm on the spectrum. I'm high functioning, but I'm definitely on the autism spectrum. So I had difficulties with people, you know. But back then, because this was in the 1950s, there wasn't any concept. I was just sort of a weird kid, you know. I mean, it wasn't a psychological thing. It was just I was sort of weird, you know. So yeah, but I really kind of resent my childhood because it was so fucking middle class and boring, and that I didn't wake up until I was, honest to God, I was just a fucking language robot until I bumped into Alan Watts when I was 21. Up until that point, I didn't even exist.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So there was nothing terrible in my childhood. My parents treated me well and gave me everything I needed. And, you know, it was just a typical sort of middle class American upbringing in the 1950s.
Okay, then this was the second question. Is I guess what are your does economics or financial policy or dollars and debt, like how does that play into like global awakening or
Yeah.
into
Well, it's
does
nice
it
to have
play?
enough resources to have a roof over your head, transportation, and food, and information. That's all important shit. Really, that's fundamental. If you can't, if you don't have enough resources to maintain yourself, then that's a serious problem. And that's part of what's going on. That's going to have to change. So what was the question?
I guess do you find yourself to be a libertarian if I were to condense it?
No, I'm not a libertarian. I'm not anything. I've got a bunch of ideas that I've picked here and there, and I don't subscribe to any particular.
Right.
And I'm not much concerned with finances and all that shit. I assume capitalism is collapsing and will be gone within a couple decades, and that the whole idea is just nonsense. It worked. I say it worked good for a couple centuries, but this is a new world. So, um, I'm retired, so and I live off Social Security, and I've got some Apple stock because I can't really live off Social Security. But I've got anyway. I'm good for a few years. I could live probably for another 20 years. As long as when the United States goes, well, then there goes my Social Security. So I don't know what'll happen then. That'll be interesting. Um, but I don't have much money, but I've got plenty to live comfortably. I've got a roof over my head. I've got a car. I've got some dogs. I eat well. I've got a nice computer, and I've got everything I need to do what I want to do.
Hmm.
And if I had a lot of money, I could be a hell of a lot more effective.
Yeah, you'd be able to scale.
Yeah, I could do all sorts of shit because I've got some big projects that I'm working on, and and money would push those ahead real fast.
Well, just one more follow up question. Like, if the country is 40 trillion in debt and we're paying 100 billion a month in interest, what's the difference if it's 40 trillion or 400 trillion?
It
What the
doesn't make any.
fuck
Like
is
I
the
say, I
difference?
just don't care. That system is dying. It's going to collapse.
But what if it doesn't collapse and it just expands infinitely?
No, it can't do that. That's ridiculous. It's going to collapse. It doesn't work. It's broken and it's going to collapse. Just how it's going to collapse is significant. I mean, we don't know what it's going to look like. It could be tragic, or it might be something we can sort of live through quite nicely. Who knows? I don't know. But
I mean,
it's
if
over.
past performance is any indicator of future success, the only inevitable outcome is World
There's
War III.
nothing in the past that's going to predict anything that's happening now. There's nothing in the caterpillar that predicts the butterfly.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, I agree. I think that's like the biggest
We don't
cliche.
know.
It's
We
probably a
don't
cliche.
know what's going on here. The best we can do is pay attention and come up with some good stories and test them and and see if we can figure it out. I don't know what else. What else can we do?
Nothing.
That
I mean,
requires
all
people.
you can do is join the dance and let the dancers, let the
Right? Yeah.
partners find
Yeah.
themselves.
Well, for me, the only thing I'm concerned with is getting people out of their language machine and out of this. I want to wake them from the spell of their language machine.
Hmm.
That's the, as I see it, the most important thing that I can do,
Hmm.
that anybody can do, really. You solve the climate crisis, you can solve all sorts of crises, and if you've got a planet full of brain damaged language monkeys, they're just going to make a mess out of it anyway. So fuck that. That's not. We need to clean up the humans. They're the problem.
Hmm. Will governments be doing this cleanup, or will the
No,
Earth be doing
no,
this cleanup?
no. The whole concept of government. We're going to have to rethink all of that shit. Yeah. How do we get organized? How do Earthlings organize themselves on a planet with this kind of technology so that we can all live together prosperously and happily and make this a wonderful planet to live on?
See
That's the
the
challenge.
the platform's silo though, so it theoretically all of these networks, Meta, Google, etc., should be liberating the people, but in fact they're acting like prisons and they're siloing. So there's no real organizational effort on behalf of the ants, we the people, to essentially try to liberate ourselves from,
Well, but
and
there are individuals who are waking up, and they are in all walks of life, here and there, poor people, rich people, and even,
well,
you
if
know,
you
all
talk
of
if
them.
you talk to a woke politician who is enlightened, whatever that is.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
I know, but what I'm saying is, I was talking to this politician who ran for office, and I tried to work, help with his campaign. And really, he didn't have the money to run, meaning that he couldn't go to Google and Meta to get his distribution of his messaging.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So the biggest inhibitor to liberation is the the gatekeepers, which is Google,
Well, why
Facebook,
the fuck
Microsoft,
do
and
we
so on.
even need representatives? Yes, well, we don't need representative democracy is a thing from ancient Greece. We don't need that. We've got the internet. If you care about something, get the fuck involved and be a part of the solution yourself. Don't vote for somebody else and then whine about what they do. Get involved. We've got the technology for that now. We won't need to work anymore, so we'll have plenty of time,
Yeah.
and we can do any fucking thing we want to. We can get involved with any issue we want to that's important to us, and we can do it ourselves. Fuck politicians and representatives. I don't need a representative.
Yeah, the thing about the conditioning is we're so hyper conditioned to be workaholics that
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you would think in
Listen, you
2025.
keep talking about everything you're talking about is these brain damaged language monkeys. You're defining them. That's the way they are.
Hmm. Yeah.
But it's just, listen. You got to turn your speakers down because I can hear myself talking now. Come back at me. You're listening with some speakers on, right?
That's my musical instrument. I put you on top of the keyboard so you were echoing in the instrument.
Oh, okay. Well, I was hearing it. It was a bit annoying. But now I don't hear my voice. So you turned your mic off. That's why.
Yeah, I picked the phone up. But yeah, I mean, thanks for the conversation. It's interesting as always talking with you. I agree with you, on everything.
Have we talked before?
Yeah, I've talked to you a bunch of times.
Well, what? Okay, you got a new name and shit going on here, so I
Yeah,
don't know
I
who the
probably.
fuck I'm talking to.
Yeah.
When was the last time we talked?
Maybe like a month and a half ago.
Okay. What name did you used to go with?
I have a couple of profiles. I don't know which one we were talking with. It could have been called comedian. It could have been called comedy. It could have been called something like that. I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, neither of those. Well, I don't remember. I talked to a lot of people, and it all sort of just gets mashed up in my brain somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had the same conversation now probably like 10 times, but it's just slightly tweaked, or
That's
it's yeah.
unfortunate, man. We should be moving ahead here. Let's not have the same
But this is
conversation
a
next
cutting
time.
edge, in my opinion. What we just had is a very cutting edge
Oh, I
conversation.
think it is too. And that's why I record these because a few people actually listen to these recordings, and this is a thoughtful one, so it'll be good.
Yeah, thanks. Likewise. All right, I bid you adieu. Have a good night, and
Okay.
happy final moon day.
Go out and look at the moon. It's probably up much higher now.
Okay, we'll do. Take care. God bless.
Okay, adios.
And I hear you.
That was fun.